What's going on, everybody? Man, sports are wild. This is a recording on Tuesday night, obviously for the Wednesday episode every week. Sometimes I normally do it late Tuesday night, early Wednesday morning, depending on whatever my schedule is, whatever I'm doing, or whatever the games are that's kind of going on. If there's a really good game that's happening, I'll wait till it's over. If I have a feeling something might happen overnight, I'll wait until the next morning to start recording. And I was like, all right, I'll probably record on Wednesday morning, just get it done, just in case anything happens over the night. But we have some massive college basketball upsets that I did not plan on having to talk about, but we will now. We'll get to that a little bit later in the show, but we got NBA, NFL, we got the Super Bowl matchup now. We got some NHL stuff to break down as we go into the All-Star break. And then the MLB, a massive, massive transaction happened that doesn't involve any type of player going on. So we'll talk about that at the end as well. This is your Sports Digest. I'm your host, Alex McNinch. Let's start off in the NBA because I feel like, if we want to talk about the big bulk of news that has happened, let's talk about the NBA. And last week we came on here, talked about Karl-Anthony Towns, Joel Embiid, all having insane nights of 70 and 60-point games. And Luka and Devin Booker said, hold my beer. Let's do it again this week. Luka, unbelievable performance last week against the Atlanta Hawks. 73 points for Luka Doncic, and almost a loss, ended up winning the game. But being able to watch that game was really cool. Because he had like 40-something at halftime, and it felt the same way with Cat. I mean, I didn't get to watch the first half of Cat's. I watched the second half, but I watched the entirety of Luka's game, and it was like, man, he is just cooking. And it got down towards the end there where he had gotten 60, and everyone in the building knew that he was going for the 70 points, or even more than that, obviously. And they started to double team, triple team, throw everything they can at Luka to try and avoid any more points being scored. But as they were up by like 16, the lead just evaporates. And it was like, oh no, here we go, another Karl-Anthony Towns situation. They're trying to force something too much to the point where the other team is like, hey, you keep doing this, we're going to capitalize and score every single time off of it. But luckily for Dallas's sake, they end up winning that game against the Hawks. And then the same night over in another part of the country, right? I guess. It's all in the central area, but up in Indiana, Devin Booker, 29 points in the first quarter. Now, a buddy of mine and I, unfortunately, did bet the under of Devin Booker 29.5 that night, and I am here to report that did not hit in our bet at all. In fact, almost didn't make it out of the first quarter without that bet even surviving. It was dead. It was insane. I started to watch it. I just randomly turned it on just because I bet on Devin Booker. I was like, all right, we'll turn on the game. I like the Pacers. I like the Suns to watch, so let's do it. And Devin Booker starts hitting a couple shots. I'm like, all right, here we go. Devin Booker's cooking tonight. That's not ideal. And there was one play. He came down in transition and pulled up over two people for three. And he had like 10 points at the time, and he just pulled up and drained it. I was like, oh, crap, that's great. There goes everything. So I knew my bet was dead, but I also didn't expect Devin Booker to end up scoring 29 in that first quarter. He ends up with 62 on the night. When Devin Booker is on fire and he starts hooping, he's one of the most fun people Those are the right words. He's one of the most fun people to watch in the entire NBA just because he gets to a spot every single time. It's so impressive that nobody can disrupt him getting to a spot. And if they do disrupt him, guess what? He's going to be creative and find a way to score over you anyways. As much as a lot of people can talk about his talk and whatever on the court, his antics on the court as trash talker, or weak trash talker, whatever, his whininess, but the fact of the matter is he's a damn good basketball player, and being able to watch him play was just like, or to cook like that was insane because, Devin Booker did against the Celtics how many ever years ago it was when he scored 70, and it's like, if you look at the list of guys in the NBA that they can score 70 plus on any given night. It could be Devin Booker. You look at guys like Luka. I predicted Jason Tatum would be one of those guys, but that was obviously before they made a bunch of trades. But Devin Booker, when he's going, it's electrifying to watch. Kind of disappointed he only ended up with 62. For sure, the way he was rolling in that first quarter, I thought he was gonna break Kobe's second highest scoring of all time record. I thought that thing was gonna get shattered. Honestly, I'm not even gonna lie to you. The way he was playing in that first quarter, it was just like it didn't matter what double team you threw at him, he was gonna go score. It was super impressive, and it just continues the line of the NBA just being absolutely ridiculous here as of late, and different teams just are having players on different teams just absolutely go off every single night, and any given night, anything can happen. That's kind of the big saying in the NBA is you're going to go to a game or you're going to turn on a game and see something you've never seen before, and a lot of the times you're able to see these types of performances as we did this week. Now let's see if the streak can continue going this upcoming week in the latter part of it. I'll tell you a team that definitely won't be having something going on like that. Those are the Memphis Grizzlies, and my goodness, we just keep getting the injury bug by the day. Luke Kennard, unfortunately, with a knee injury, has been out the past couple games. He re-aggravated that same knee he was nursing earlier in the season with a bone bruise. It looked like he re-aggravated it this past weekend against Orlando. That's not ideal. Again, this could be just trade deadline type of things, holding him out just in case. And then the other day, the Grizzlies took on the Pacers, played really, really well, honestly, for what they had. And then it comes out on Monday morning when the injury report is released, and it come to find out half of the Grizzlies roster isn't even playing. 12 players on the injury report. How in the hell do you have 12 players on the injury report? We only had 7 players on roster to play that night. And Vince Williams Jr. was questionable with a knee injury, which, whatever. I don't think anything of that. But John Conchar randomly sprained his ankle somehow. I don't know how that happened. Zaire Williams got a left hand injury. I've never seen Zaire use his left hand in his life. So I don't know how that even happened. Maybe, again, this could have some trade implications or trade deadline rumors kind of written all over it, just in case you don't want to risk any type of injury if you have a trade lined up or a potential idea of a trade lined up. Really. So I understand that aspect of it, but it's like, well, now we're down to 7 players, and if you don't know the NBA rules, you have to have at least 8 players on roster to be able to field a game. Otherwise, the game has to be postponed. So the Memphis Grizzlies yesterday signed Matthew Hurt to a 10-day contract. He had been playing with the Hustle, was the leading scorer in the G League. Came in last night. Hit a couple of shots, or the other night, whenever this comes out on Monday. Came in, hit his first 2 threes, looked really good. Made some good winning plays down the stretch. There's a lot of good film on him being a good guy off the ball in certain plays on offense, which is key because him hitting those first 2 shots now made the Kings be like, okay, he's going to shoot and he's going to make it, so we have to close out. So that was really good to see. Unfortunately, the Grizzlies couldn't win with 8 players on the roster, but what can you really expect anything more out of that, as they're just trying to skirt by right now with what they have, unfortunately. But with there being 950 players on the injury report, we were granted a couple more 10-day contract opportunities, hardships, or whatever they are called. The first one that came through the wire this morning was Tosan Ebuman, I think it is. I don't even know how to pronounce it. He was the guy for Princeton last year. If you're a college basketball fan, he was the big man for Princeton last year that was really instrumental in their run. From what I've seen and what I did last year studying the draft, he was on my top 60 big board. I liked his passing for his size a lot. Was a college 5, is going to play the 4, maybe sometimes the 3 in the NBA if he can get off the dribble a little bit more, but is not afraid to finish inside, go through contact. Not going to jump out of the gym without athleticism, that's 100% sure, but has also shown the ability to stretch the floor, maybe not at an efficient rate, but has stretched the floor. So maybe in these next 10 days, if you get to see Tosan take the court, which we probably will because we have 2 more games coming up this weekend on a back-to-back with the Cavs and the Warriors. So I would not be surprised if he sees time on the court. But the one I'm more excited for is Trey Jemison. And I don't remember if I talked about it on this podcast, but I know I had mentioned it to other people. Whenever we extended Vince Williams Jr. and waived Bismack Biyombo, we opened up a 2-way spot, and it was like, all right, we got to go get a big man off this 2-way spot. And then Marcus Smart gets hurt, Desmond Bane gets hurt, and it's like, okay, we got to get a guard now because our only guard is Gilliard. So they end up getting Scottie Pippen Jr., who has been really, really solid for us so far. I've been very impressed. But Trey Jemison, a guy that I really, really liked in this 2-way role that we could have been able to sign. Unfortunately, we did not. He goes to a 10-day with the Wizards. His 10-day has just ran up yesterday, so we went ahead and snagged him for another 10 days here with the Grizzlies. Jemison, I think he's a rookie out of UAB. Really good size, just a burly dude. Kind of looks like Jalen Duren from the Detroit Pistons in his size and frame. I like that a lot. And he just rebounds and he finishes over defenders at a high rate in the paint. He could jump pretty high for a center and throw it down. I really, really like this signing because this could eventually turn into a new 2-way contract maybe based on if the trade deadline goes the way that they maybe are thinking in the back of their minds. That opens up a roster spot for Gigi to sign, and then Jamison can get in on a 2-way. Something like that could potentially happen. I don't know, but Grizzlies are able to get a couple more roster fillers on the team as there are like 56 people constantly out every single game. We're looking like a Kmart aisle with the amount of mannequins that are standing up with designer clothes on. Well, I wouldn't say Kmart has designer clothes. That makes no sense. But we basically look at a shopping center with all the mannequins standing there with clothes on the bench rather than actually being useful and playing. Everybody's just in street clothes. It's sad to see, but we're not the only one dealing with an injury, and that's pivoting over to Joel Embiid, who has missed the past couple games. It was reported that on Saturday when they were playing the Nuggets, he was potentially going to be able to play in that game. And then, like 15 minutes before tip-off, Embiid's randomly ruled out. It's like, whoa. He has not played in Denver since 2019. What's going on here? I don't know if there's anything more to it, but he's now missed the past couple games for this team. He missed last night against Portland, missing tonight against Golden State. So his clock is really, really ticking now for the eligibility to win MVP. Remember, this year in the NBA, you have to have played 65 games in an NBA season to be eligible for postseason awards. And if Joel Embiid misses like 5 more games, he's not going to be able to qualify, which, I mean, he's the front runner right now for the MVP. So this would be a massive shakeup. This allows Jokic to pop back in, Luka to come in there, Devin Booker to find his way, Shea to get in there as well. If he does miss these five more games after tonight, I think there's a lot of opportunities for other guys to slide in and potentially take over that MVP race. It's a big thing to talk about, that I think is not made as much of a big deal as it should be because of this new rule. Within all of this, it was a question within Grizzlies territory with when Ja came back. It was like he wasn't going to have the right amount of games to be played to be able to be an all-star or make an all-NBA team at the end of the season, even if he averaged 30 the rest of the season, but obviously that's negated at this point. But still, my point is, this is now the most prestigious single player award in your association, and the guy who's the most deserving, if he misses this amount of games, he's gonna miss out, which I assume the 76ers are gonna try their best to make sure he is healthy enough or has the durability to be able to get through the rest of this season. Luckily for Embiid, he's got an all-star break coming up here, which for him, I mean, it's not really going to do anything because he's playing in the all-star game, but it's still off of, hard training in games every other night or every single night based on the schedule. So As a couple teams are starting to deal with injuries, one team is coming back from injuries really, really well, and the Cleveland Cavaliers are starting to get their guys back. Darius Garland will be making his return this week, as well as Evan Mobley. They're going to be getting their entire starting five together finally this season to make that push. And if you look at the Cavaliers, man, recently the Cavaliers, I know I talked about it a long time ago about how they were starting to not look as great, and they did hit a little bit of a wall for sure. But I mean, the Cavs are winners of what their 9 of their last 10 or 10 of their last 11. Like they've been able to shoot up, and they have played so well. Yeah, 9-1 their last 10 games. Really impressive stretch here from the Cavs, and obviously it's headed by Donovan Mitchell, really holding it down. But looking at the rest of the guys, Karis LeVert has played a big role coming off the bench now for this team. Jared Allen has been durable for this team. Max Strus has been super durable along with Georges Niang. So two guys you got this offseason have been big helpers in your rotation, or I guess roster flexibility. And then guys you didn't expect to even be factors in this team, like Craig Porter Jr., who, if you were to ask me before this year who he was, I wouldn't have known. A rookie out of Wichita State finding minutes. And then Sam Merrill, who some Grizzly fans might remember him as he was the guy who was traded for Grayson Allen, or Grayson Allen was traded for him to get Grayson Allen to the Bucks. We got Sam Merrill in return, ended up releasing him this around this time last year, honestly, and now has found a way with the Cavs where he is lights out. Sam Merrill is. So if you're looking at this Cavs team, man, like they have a lot of room for improvement with this team already as is. Adding your two all-star caliber players back into your roster or your lineup automatically makes this team much more scarier than they ever were before. And I'm excited to now see this Cavs team. I still think that, we could be running into a wall with coaching, but coaches can only take you so far a lot of the time. It's about the players. So coaches put the players in the right position. The players got to make the plays. And we'll see if they can execute down the stretch, honestly. But there's a lot of teams that are going to have to execute down the stretch. And when we're talking down the stretch, they're talking about the stretch of the next 8 days as we are approaching the trade deadline. Let me remind you, next week, we're going to be having a podcast episode come out on Tuesday. Yes, Tuesday instead of Wednesday or Monday. It might be Monday night, Tuesday afternoon, one of the 2 days. It'll be early in the week that we'll talk about it because this upcoming Thursday is the NBA trade deadline. That Thursday night, I will have a special podcast or episode out. It'll be shorter, but it'll be talking about all the deals that go down, and we're going to grade every single deal and how it benefits both sides. Who knows what's going to happen at this point? Is Zach LaVine going to get moved? Probably not, but there's rumors. It's almost guaranteed that DeJounte Murray might be on the move, as well as D'Angelo Russell. Maybe those two get swapped. The Grizzlies have some assets to move. The Celtics are looking to add more bench depth. Charlotte's looking to get rid of some of their vets. New York's looking to add. There's so many different angles and scenarios going on, and this is the fun part about the NBA. And I always mention it here. It's the NBA. A lot of people don't like watching the games, but they love the drama. They absolutely love the reality TV drama that goes on around the actual game of basketball. And I mean, I can't sit here and deny the fact that I don't agree with that. I 100% love the offseason. I love the draft time frame where there's trades. I love the trade deadline. As much as it sucks to part ways with some guys you love, I had to watch my team trade away Marc Gasol at the trade deadline, and I watched my team trade away Mike Conley, who's my favorite basketball player of all time, in the offseason. So eventually you're just going to lose guys and trade guys, but this time is always tough for the players, I know for sure. Everybody's just kind of holding on to their seats and hoping that they can get past the deadline, not have to worry about anything. But it for sure, for the fans, is the most fun time to be able to experience a lot of things, given a lot of flashbacks to last year where apparently the Grizzlies were willing to give up 75 first-round picks from Mikal Bridges in the three-way deal with the Kevin Durant trade, which that would have been wild. That would have been absolutely wild if we were able to pull that off. But I don't know. It's still just a wild time in the NBA for the trade deadline, no matter what. So yeah, next week, Monday or Tuesday. It's probably Tuesday rather than Monday. Tuesday we'll do the episode, regular episode, and we probably won't talk much NBA in that. We'll do maybe a little bit. We won't do too much. We'll kind of cover more college or maybe NFL stuff to preview the Super Bowl that next weekend. We'll do all a bunch of that kind of stuff rather than the NBA, so that Thursday can be dedicated straight towards that on its own. But moving on away from the NBA, let's move on to what I just mentioned there, the Super Bowl. We have our matchup again between two teams that have faced off before. Two teams that at the beginning of the season, if you were to put a gun to my head and ask me who was going to be there, this is probably the two I would have picked. Not lying. But this weekend, the AFC Championship took place. The Kansas City Chiefs went into Baltimore and took over the place, got a win. Man, what an odd performance from Baltimore. And I was on and off watching the game because the Grizzlies were at the same time. That's more of a priority to me than two teams that I have no real fight for to watch. But still, such a weird game by the Ravens. Some bad turnovers as the team, a couple fumbles, a pick from Lamar in triple coverage at the end of the game there. Very weird, but at the end of the day, you got to look at it. And I've talked about it for so many weeks now. I can't repeat this enough. Experience matters, man. It does not matter. I grew up a New England Patriots fan. I really have seen Tom Brady not give a damn for the last 6 weeks of the season and then go, okay, yeah, we're playing for the playoffs now? Okay, I'll see you at the Super Bowl, pal. And he just runs through the playoffs. That's exactly what it's like. Everybody was worried about the Chiefs. I was like, oh, man, what's happening? They're 9-8. What happened to the Chiefs? And then, or not, they're 9-8. They're 9-6. And it's like, or what happened to the Chiefs? What's going on? And it's like, don't worry. Here they come. And the Chiefs just steamroll through the playoffs and now find themselves in the Super Bowl for back-to-back years. Mahomes is going to be getting to the Super Bowl his fourth time in the past 6 years, I believe is what the stat is. The only time in that time frame, I guess, he didn't make it was the Rams and the Bengals Super Bowl. But Mahomes gets the matchup that everyone really want. I don't want to say everyone wanted. Maybe me personally, because I don't have a grudge against any of these teams at all, like people do. I know people hate the Chiefs now because of Taylor Swift. I really don't care. That's cool. I really could not care less about it. Maybe it's because my dad is a lifelong Chiefs fan, being from there. Maybe I have more of an investment into it than not, but I guess that would be the only reason. But the Chiefs now get a little bit of a rematch, maybe not for their sake, but for this other team's sake, trying to get revenge for their Super Bowl loss against them a couple years ago in the San Francisco 49ers. And talk about a game. What a wild ride of emotions for both sides of fans. The Detroit Lions, I just want to take a moment and talk about how incredible their season has been and what a job that Dan Campbell and that staff has done with these guys. And, I think before the season, a lot of people pinpointed that Lions team and be like, all right, this is a team that can break out this year. They dealt with some injuries throughout the entire season, and they kept pushing forward and finding ways to win, and they ended up making the playoffs. And at that point, your goal is you want to win a playoff game, and they won the playoff game. Now you're playing with house money. Now it's time to go play for the Super Bowl. You get a win against the Bucs at home in the playoff game, then you got to go to San Francisco. 14-0 in the first quarter, and it's like, here we go. Lions have taken over. They have really just kind of grabbed a chokehold on this game. McCaffrey answers with a touchdown, and then Jahmyr Gibbs answers right back with a touchdown, 24-7 going into half. It's like there's no way are the 49ers dead. This is the team everybody made fun of with Brock Purdy, saying that he's not a quarterback that's good enough to play for the Super Bowl, that he's overrated. And then Brock Purdy comes out in the second half and helps and wills this team to a victory. Sure, his stats on paper are not going to really wow you or, make you think like, oh, man, this guy is a top 5 quarterback in the NFL. No, but if you watch the game down the stretch, so many times where the Lions brought pressure, nobody got open, and Brock Purdy has to make a play for himself, and he uses his legs and gets out and run, which normally isn't something he's willing to do at a large level, and he did it, and give credit to him, he did it on Sunday night for sure, and did it when it mattered the most, but again, credit to this Lions team all year for fighting hard and putting themselves in a position to where they could have made the Super Bowl, and I think a lot of people can point to Dan Campbell, going for it a couple times on 4th down. At the end of the day, you're going to try to put your players in the best position to win. That's what a coach does. I'm going to say it till the day I die. The coaching decision is to put your players in the best scenario to win. And sure, should he have kicked the field goal at least once maybe? Yeah. But I like the guts from him. I just think he maybe gets a little bit too trigger happy as a former player and gets in his own head like, yeah, we got to go for it. We just got to go for it. Have to go for it. So maybe that's something he assesses in the off season about himself and changes. But give credit to this 49ers team who did not let up after being down by that much at halftime and answered back in the second half. Christian McCaffrey putting this team on his back once again all the way as they head to the Super Bowl. In 2 weeks, it'll be the 11th, right? Yeah. Yes. Sunday, February 11th at 5:30 p.m. I don't even know where this game is at. Is it in Vegas? It is in Vegas. Okay. Sweet. If that tells you how much I pay attention to the NFL, there it is for you right there. Get a game in Vegas. Not a bad place if you're a 49ers fan. You want to be playing there rather than anywhere on the East Coast in Miami. Play in Vegas to where you have played there, or you are closer to where fans. I guess actually, you know what? Thinking about it, it's really not that bad of a difference for either fan base. Both fans are going to travel well, and if you look at Kansas City, they've played in that stadium more times than the Niners have. So maybe it's an advantage for the Chiefs here, but I think at the end of the day, you just got to look at the experience, man. You really, really do. And you can say the same thing for the 49ers. A lot of those guys have the experience because they were in that Super Bowl, but it's just different with Mahomes. But obviously we got another week to kind of sit on it and sit back and think. I think the line opened up at 2.5 in favor of the 49ers. It has now gone down to 1.5, still in favor of the 49ers, but for sure will be interesting and one to monitor as we go down the line and I decide which coin or which side of the coin I'm going to be betting on this year. Last year, I don't remember what it was. It might have been tails, and I won. I won whatever it is. I put like $5 on it, and I won. So shout out to the coin last year. Maybe there's a good chance I don't win it this year. I'm definitely betting on the coin, definitely betting on the color of Gatorade. Like, there's no doubt in my mind. I got to make these weird, stupid bets for the Super Bowl because why not? It's gonna be my last time doing it. So I got to enjoy it while it lasts, But that's it. The NFL. This is the final weeks coming up. The Pro Bowl is this weekend. I just remembered that as I was looking at the schedule, so that's kind of cool. Not really. Who cares? Nobody's cared about the Pro Bowl since like 2006, and honestly, I don't even think they cared about it back then either. Bring back the quarterback passing challenge like they did 10 years ago. Do all that kind of stuff. That's more fun, right? Do all that kind of crap. It's a little bit more exciting because otherwise it's just guys getting a glorified vacation and I don't even know where the Pro Bowl even is. Orlando. It used to be in Hawaii. That's when it used to be cool, is when you get to go to Hawaii and do it. Now you're just going to the same place you just kind of live maybe. I don't know. I'm rambling now about the NFL, but that's it for the NFL. Let's just move on from that in complete total. But now let's go to the real reason why I'm recording at the time that I am. So I will read from you as I have mentioned before. I have like a guideline to refresh myself since I do this every week. I have a guideline of kind of refresh myself from what happened within the time that I've recorded and haven't recorded, so I can, just stay up to date and kind of know what I'm keeping on track with. And I wrote down here, top 5 remains the same for the first time this season. This is in reference to the college basketball poll that had come out on Monday. The top 5 at the time: UConn, Purdue, North Carolina, Houston, and Tennessee. This is the first time the entire season that the top 5 was the same for 2 weeks in a row. Unbelievable stuff. And as I write that on my paper and I put it down, and I'm like, all right, can't wait to go record tomorrow morning. We'll talk about this. As exciting these guys are. Let me tune into this Tennessee game, and let me throw the North Carolina game onto there because it's 2 of the top teams playing. And I'm watching Dalton Connect to scout a little bit, and I'm watching UNC to watch Harrison Ingram and Elliott Cadu and all these types of people to watch and scout. And I also maybe have made a little bit of a wager on the Gamecocks of South Carolina to cover playing against Tennessee. Obviously, they beat Kentucky last week. They've got some momentum whenever it comes to ranked play. And they went into Knoxville and just said, hey, you aren't ranking us? Okay, we're going to beat you. Who cares? South Carolina, what a win. I think at this point, we sit here and look at South Carolina, and it's no longer like, dang, there you go, South Carolina, great win. No, we're the 18-3 South Carolina Gamecocks, they're probably thinking. Like, rank us. Give us what we deserve. We beat Kentucky. We beat Tennessee. Who else do we have to beat at this point to prove? We don't have the best teams we got going down the stretch are Auburn, Ole Miss, and Florida again. Those are the only teams they've got going down the stretch to where they can improve their resume more. Actually, they played Tennessee another time, but still, like, you look at this and it's like, why are we not ranked? Well, now you get this big win over Tennessee, and you for sure will be getting ranked unless you lose to Georgia on Saturday. Then they might not rank you. But what a performance. Taylon Cooper, one of their senior guards, 18 points, their leading scorer in that game, followed by B.J. Mack, who is one of their top leading scorers overall in the season, 16-5 at the forward position for them. And a 63-59 win on the road. Shout out to South Carolina covering 13.5 for me. But I mean, if you look at the Vols, Dalton Connect, 31 points, 11 for 24, 3 for 8 from 3, 6 for 10 from the free throw line. And my buddy, massive Tennessee fan, attends the university. We talk about this all the time because I'm big on Connect going into this draft class. And I'm just trying to get some insight a little bit more from somebody who watches every single game rather than just some of the games like I do. But I was trying to get some insight, kind of like, hey, what's this guy looking like? How are they complimenting? Whatever. And we talked about this a lot, and I brought up the idea of, like, why would you, if you're another team, not send 2 to 3 guys at Dalton Connect immediately and make sure that he is not the guy who beats you, and make sure that there is somebody else on that court that is willing to beat you. Florida attempted to do that. Unfortunately, Jonas Adu, their center, turned into the hook king, looking like Kareem Abdul-Jabbar out there, and was killing the Gators. But tonight, South Carolina came in with that same game plan a little bit, and it was as much as Dalton was cooking. You can only throw 2 at a time without leaving a couple guys wide open, but you made the other guys try to beat you. Adu, 2 for 8 as a big man with all paint shots. Zakai Ziegler, one of their top players in the class, or in the class a couple of years ago. I think he's a junior or senior now, but he was he was a 5-star coming out of high school. Coming off an Achilles injury, of course, but still, 0 for 6, 0 for 4 from 3. Make the other guys beat you on this team, right? Like, you look at Tennessee and you look, if you take out Dalton Connect, this team is, like, significantly worse. And I think it's not a bad thing to admit that if you're a Tennessee fan. I think a lot of teams can admit that if a player. You can ask any 76ers fan. If you took away Joel Embiid and you put him just out forever, that team sucks. That team just lost to the Trailblazers last night by like 20. That team sucks, right? So it's such a difference maker to have him on the court. But if you're an opposing coach, why are you not sending 2 guys at him. He has to see 2 every single time. You just got to let him – you can't let him get past half court without seeing 2 guys. Like that would be my game plan against Connect. Trap immediately upon crossing the half-court line. If he's playing off the ball, as soon as he gets the ball in a screen and roll situation, straight trap. Force him to make that hard pass cross-court or inside, and then you play great help rotate defense, help side defense rather. It sounds easier than it really is, but still, that's a game plan that these guys got to have in mind. And South Carolina, just fortunately enough for them, and unfortunately for Tennessee, we're just on the bad end of a bad shooting night for their guys, and they just couldn't make free throws either. That is one big thing that killed them this game. 12 for 20 from the free throw line. Just got to make your free throws when you're in a 4-point game. It's going to be a massive, massive issue for a team. And then the other team that is also in this top 25 that decided, hey, we're going to lose tonight as well. It's UNC. North Carolina gets upset by Georgia Tech. And Georgia Tech, let's just take a moment here. They have now beaten Duke and UNC in the same year. Unbelievable. Honestly, unbelievable job by Georgia Tech. And shout out to the Yellow Jackets, and shout out to former Florida Gator. Great. Well, I guess you could say great, but Kawasi Reeves, I mean, he didn't do anything in this game, but against Duke, he had a couple big plays, but still, in this game, he didn't do anything. UNC just shot themselves in the foot. And we talk about free throws, 9 for 17 if you're UNC. That's just not – unfortunately, that's not going to get you anything. And then Nathan George, who was awesome all night for Georgia Tech, game-winning layup. Well, I guess it was a couple seconds left in the game. UNC couldn't come down and score. The final play, it was interesting. They sent RJ Davis. It was like a backdoor. There was supposed to be like a pin down screen, because they had to rush up the court. They did like a quick pin down at the half court line to let RJ Davis get a full sprint, which was terrible defense by Georgia Tech first of all. But Davis went in for straight layup. And sure, you want to put the ball in the hands of the guy who can actually win you the game. For sure, a guy who had 28 points for this team, 11 for 24. But I felt like he forced maybe. Felt like he forced, and he still had an extra second or two to maybe dump off to Baycott. But that's just me. Baycott not really making too much of an impact. Poor Harrison Ingram. I talked about him a lot, how much I like him. And he shot 3 for 14 in this game. A guy who everybody likes a lot, in Cormac Ryan, shot 3 for 10 from 3. Yikes. Another guy a lot of people like, in Seth Trimble, came off the bench 2 for 7. It was just not a great game overall for this team. And give credit to Georgia Tech for going ahead and capitalizing on this opportunity and being able to win another big game against a conference opponent, conference rival, I guess. And man, just wild. I literally wrote down top 5 remains the same for the first time this season. It's just college basketball is ridiculous. We talk about it every single episode. I always say college basketball makes no sense. And well, it doesn't make no sense, but the way it lays out, it just makes no sense. How many teams just lose on any given basis, man? It's any given night, really. A couple of teams that have fallen down. Auburn's fallen down. Memphis, my goodness. I talk good about the Tigers for one time in my life. I get excited about Memphis Tiger basketball for one time. I normally am not I don't really care. I don't go to Memphis. I never went to Memphis. I never really planned on going to U of M. But still, I got friends that all go there. They all love the Tigers. So it's all right, I'll tune in just because if you listen, you want to know about your team, I got you. But the one time I talk good about them, they say, hey, USF, we're going to lose. Hey, Tulane, we're going to lose. Hey, UAB, we're going to lose. It's what in the hell? I don't get it. I don't get it. It's just, I guess it's the curse of this podcast. So that's on me. So in that case, Florida sucks. Florida's really, really bad at basketball. You can't see me, but I'm winking. Really hoping that things go better for that. Let's talk about a team that I'm about to give another kiss of death for. So shout out to the Lobos, about to have their season ruined by me. New Mexico. I really like New Mexico a lot. This is a team that, when you look down the stretch of these Mountain West teams that could get into the tournament, and I know every single year a lot of people are like, oh, who cares? They're a Mountain West team. How much do they really play against competition? Like, who really cares about them? I think this is the number 19 ranked team. You got to respect them a little bit with some of their play. They have played some really good ball down the stretch here, getting a couple good wins over San Diego State and Utah State. But they're being led by Jalen House, who started his career at Arizona State, has spent the past couple of years in New Mexico, has done unbelievable work for this team here this year as a leader, as a senior. And then they also have Jamal Mashburn Jr., obviously the son of Jamal Mashburn. He's really been a help for this team. They brought in JT Toppin, the brother of Obi Toppin. He was originally at Kentucky, transfers over. You're making a complete roster here together. We kind of talked about them at the very beginning of the season, how I kind of like New Mexico a little bit. I made my own kind of like silent rankings to start the year. I liked New Mexico a lot, really, and they've gotten some really, really good play from all these guys. And I'm super impressed. If you're looking at New Mexico's schedule coming down the stretch here, they got Boise State tonight as this comes out. That'll be a good game at home. They got UNLV again, Nevada, who's still a solid team, San Diego State, Colorado State again, Boise State, Utah State to end the year. The Mountain West might have 5 teams that make the tournament. Like, there's no joke. Like, this conference might have the most consistent play because they just kill each other. When they play other schools, they're fine. But when they play each other, they're just going to murder each other. And they're just like, okay, we like this chaos, get them in. Compared to an ACC where it might be a 2-bid school or 2-bid league at this point, like, who even knows what's going on in the – I'm sure there's going to be more than 2 teams. But still, like, you look at it, it's like, all right, Duke and North Carolina will make it. But then it's like, how much do you trust Virginia? How much do you trust Clemson to get in there? How much do you trust Virginia Tech? How much do you trust NC State? Like, all these teams. It's like, hey, Mountain West making some noise. Mountain West is making some noise, and I'm excited for it for sure because they've got some really, really solid under-the-radar teams that have really taken over here in the past couple of years. San Diego State made a great run last year, of course, kind of putting their conference on the map. That's it for college basketball. I don't want to try to put any more curse. I apologize to New Mexico fans. There's no way that you're listening to this at all, but I want to apologize formally just in case this somehow gets to a New Mexico fan. This is on me if you guys lose like the next 6 straight. This is completely on me. Just ask Tiger fans. This is on me, 100%. Let's move on to the other sports here to note. At the end, the NHL, they're going into the All-Star break. As I had mentioned before at the beginning of the show, they're going into the All-Star break. It's fun. If you don't watch the NHL at all, watch the All-Star challenges. They got some good ones. They got speed skating, who does the fastest lap time, the hardest shot challenge, which if you don't know how hard guys' slap shots are in the NHL, that'll be an eye-opener for you with 90 mile per hour to 100 mile per hour slap shots. Those are always fun, the target practice. And then I think recently they've introduced the one-on-one breakaway or penalty shots shootout type of game. It's just whenever they do shootouts at the end of the game, they put that in the All-Star format and they have fun with that. Then the games will be on the weekend as well. And my girl Tate McRae is going to be performing. That's really all I care about. But if we want to talk about what's actually going on in the regular season, we talked about the Edmonton Oilers last week, and they have not stopped since then. 16 straight now for the Oilers, looking to make it 17 straight tonight against the Vegas Golden Knights as this comes out. They just played unbelievable. And now this is a lot of question about what is their postseason going to look like and how are they going to play when they get down there. Keep in mind they have an interim head coach right now. It'll be interesting. It'll be interesting to see for sure how this team gels together. There's probably going to be some moves at the deadline. Probably get another defenseman, if I had to guess, and maybe like a third or fourth line center for depth purposes with this team because they've got a couple of injuries they've been dealing with for a little bit. But I would not be too concerned if you're an Oilers fan, which, again, probably none listening, but still there's that. Another team that's making a really good push right now, the St. Louis Blues, winners of 6 straight. They were down and out, fired their coach as well mid-season with an interim. It looks like they've been reignited and rejuvenated to fire back. Jordan Kyrou leading the group mainly for this Blues team, and they've gotten some good wins, including a win in Seattle, which whether the Kraken are good or not, it's one of the most lively places to play in if you're an opposing team. So it's a tough place to go play at. I promise you that. But St. Louis looking really, really solid. Other news in the NHL, the New York Islanders have fired their head coach, and they have signed Patrick Waugh, which, if you do not know who Patrick Waugh is, one of the best goaltenders of all time for Montreal, Colorado. Both of those. I mean, he was a Stanley Cup champion with the Avalanche back in 2002, 01, 2000. Might be earlier than that. I don't even remember exactly. But Patrick Waugh is awesome. He's now a head coach for the New York Islanders, which is wild to say. But that's cool. So that might be a name some of you who might have used to watch hockey or keep up back in the day know that name. Patrick Waugh getting a job there with the Islanders. Let's move over to the MLB, and I've got a little bit of a bone to pick with a couple situations going on here. First of all, the Baltimore Orioles, who have had one of the top developmental systems. They brought in the guy, I can't remember his name, who was instrumental in developing the Astros with Correa, Bregman, Springer, Garrett Cole, all those guys. They brought him in to help be a part of their farm system, and they've been in the top 3 for the past 6 years now. Last year, breaking out on the scene, winning 100 ball games with all the rookies without spending a dime in free agency, really outside of Kyle Gibson. And they win 100 games, obviously losing in the divisional series against the Texas Rangers, who ended up winning it, so it really didn't matter in the end. But you look at this Orioles team, and it's like, man, they've got all these young pieces. Now, what's the move they're going to go make? Who are they going to go sign to make this team better? And the fact of the matter is Baltimore's owners just didn't want to spend. They really weren't wanting to spend money. They wanted to build through the system, which is completely respectable when you have all the prospects that you do. Grayson Rodriguez on the mound, and then obviously Adley Rutschman, Gunnar Henderson, Jackson Holliday is coming up, Heston Kjerstad is coming up as well. You've got all these young pieces you're going to build through to make your professional or your major league club. And it just came out that they have now sold their ownership stake to 2 private billionaire owners, whatever, for $1.7 billion. And that's not good for Red Sox fans or any other fans of baseball, because this means the Orioles might be spending money. And if the Orioles are now upping their payroll by spending in free agency to add to their young, amazing core that they have, watch out, because this Baltimore Orioles team, who was a laughing stock of the MLB for so many years, is about to become a dynasty. And I'm afraid, because they're in my division, and my owners don't want to spend any money on, if they went to the store and they went to go buy a bag of chips from the grocery store, they'd ask the cashier if there was any extra coupons for it, and if there weren't any, they would ask to bargain the price down like it's a thrift store. That's how bad the ownership in Boston is. So to have another owner in the division that is willing to spend on top of the Yankees, on top of the Blue Jays, that's not good. Not great at all for the Red Sox sake. And for the rest of the MLB's sake, I mean, honestly, if you got this young core with the money they could spend in free agency here, good night. It's exciting if you're an Orioles fan. For the rest of the MLB, shouldn't be too exciting. Speaking of free agents, every free agent's really left. Montgomery and Snell, both just kind of chilling there, which Jordan Montgomery literally lives in Boston in the offseason here. His wife is a resident in Massachusetts. He is working out in Boston. And the Red Sox said, nah, actually, we don't need this type of player. We don't need an extra starting pitcher, which is exactly what we needed for our team. We don't need to go get this guy. Who cares, right? We suck. We don't want to spend money. We were going to go spend $3 billion on the PGA Tour to invest in their new little side gig that they got going on. I'm done. I ramble about the Red Sox way too much on this podcast for really anybody to care about. But I think it's my safe space to kind of just yell, because otherwise, if I just yell at myself in my peace and quiet time, I look like a maniac. So this is my time to let it all out as a Red Sox fan. But like not being able to lock down Jordan Montgomery is such an odd decision. But Montgomery's still out there. Snell is still out there. Cody Bellinger is still out there. But Cody Bellinger is looking like he might be going back to the Cubs. So if you're a Cubs fan, that's perfect. Like that's exactly what you wanted to have happen, is him to be able to go back. And now probably because the market is down, he's not going to be getting as much as he once was projected, which I never really bought into the $200+ million for Bellinger. But I guess that's just the way some markets go. I guess whenever you're looking at it through the offseason, it makes sense why at the time some people expected it, but I don't know. There's still so many free agents available, but one got signed. And this one, again, it's gonna be tied back to Boston, obviously, because that's my team. Justin Turner signs with the Toronto Blue Jays on a 1-year, $13 million contract, and oh my gosh, does this piss me off. Justin Turner was the leader of the clubhouse last year for the Boston Red Sox in one of the worst times to be a Red Sox fan. Currently, the worst time to be a Red Sox fan. I know there was like a 90-year drought. I don't care. At least in the 90s, it was fun to watch. Sure, the 80s sucked, but you made it to the World Series still. The 2000s and 2010s were awesome still, even if there were this sucky years. This is the worst time to be a Red Sox fan since we traded Babe Ruth away back in the day. And I obviously was nowhere even close to experiencing that. I wasn't even there to experience the Mo Vaughn MVP season. But still, this is such a terrible time to be a Red Sox fan. So when you get a guy like Justin Turner who cares about playing for the city, even after playing so many years in Los Angeles and loving that organization, coming over to the Red Sox and saying, man, I love it here. I love making this place home. This is so good, so great. We still need a DH. Match made in heaven for him to return. Nope, to hell with you. You're going to Canada, pal. Come on. I mean, if you're Toronto, great job. You just got a locker room leader, a guy who is going to drive in 80 runs for you 100%. Next year will do that, and whenever he plays the Red Sox, bank on him to hit 750 in each series. So be prepared for that. I'm just very mad because the Red Sox still need another starter. They still need a DH. They still need everything. They need everything. This team is just not good. The offense, not bad. They've got some good young players on both sides, but you still need a number one starter. Lucas Giolito is just not your number one starter. That's just how it is. Brian Bayo is not a number one yet, right? That's just how it is. I don't know. That made me upset that he went to a division rival. If he went to the if he went to the Mets, that's fine. I don't really care. He played for the Mets before. If he went to the Dodgers again, go for it. I'm happy for him. Really excited. But the Blue Jays, come on. In division, just pathetic. Just pathetic job by the ownership, not willing to spend money to be able to get this DH on your roster. Instead, now we're going to be paying pennies on the dime to get Adam Duvall back, or Garrett Cooper maybe, is rumored. So, sweet. I'm super excited. Who cares, right? Like, that's so depressing. And I love baseball, but, like, come on. Come on. Unfortunately, we're going to end it with some sad news. Still within the Red Sox realm, but obviously with some other teams as well. Legendary manager and player Jimmy Williams passed away. And although I did not get to experience anything of Jimmy Williams' tenure within the Red Sox organization, he played an instrumental part, honestly, for this club and this organization through, like I mentioned, one of the more weird, rough times as a Red Sox fan. Obviously played for the Cardinals for 1 year and then said, nope, I can't do this anymore. But started out as a manager for the Toronto Blue Jays. His time there wasn't as great, if you really remember anything, because Bobby Cox ended up going to the Braves. He gets brought in, and if you remember anything about about the Blue Jays and their potential type. I don't even know how to explain it back then, but in those times it was a weird transition for them to be. He was a part of their staff, but he really wasn't. But then he got brought in again. It was so weird. It was so weird, honestly. You just have to look it up. He got brought in and out with the Braves and Blue Jays. It made no sense. But then he goes to the Red Sox in 1997 to 2001, and this is where he makes his impact with the Red Sox because, again, this is the time frame where the Red Sox aren't really in the mix too much. It's weird. This is now when Nomar is starting to come up. Mo Vaughn's winning MVPs. Jimmy Williams comes in and takes this team to the ALDS. Won Manager of the Year, helped get Pedro Martinez really kind of elevated to the start of his career. Ultimately, was fired at the end of 2001, which then led to the eventual turning over as a franchise for the Red Sox. And the rest is history there. He ends up going on to coaching and being the manager with the Astros in the early 2000s, and then ended up being a part of the Phillies organization as a bench coach in 06 and 08, prominently where they won the World Series. Man, I like I said, not a guy that I remember obviously at all, specifically for his time with the Red Sox. I know the name because of his Philly tenure, rather, as a bench coach in that World Series run, but just another guy that whenever you see a lot of things online and it's a lot of good talk, then obviously he left a good legacy. And like I said, for a Red Sox standpoint, he was a part of that transition period where you're starting to get these stars back in Nomar and Pedro and all these other type of guys. So for sure, thankful for his contributions to the game as a manager and especially to my team through a weird period. Hate that this is the way that the podcast ended, talking about the morning of a loss, but it's unfortunate, but I appreciate you guys for listening for sure. Hopefully we have better news when we start up next week and maybe some more exciting things. Like I mentioned, if you don't remember or skip through the NBA part, which if you do, I get it. It's not for everybody, but next week it'll be Tuesday. Tuesday will be a podcast. And then Thursday will be my trade deadline special. We just go over all the trades that happen, which I'm expecting there to be a good handful, alongside of all the grades I will have, winners and losers, stuff like that. That'll come out Thursday night, later on Thursday night. So you'll probably listen to it Friday. Either way, I'm just going to have it out just so that we can have something separate for the NBA trade deadline because it is one of the biggest things happening in the NBA every year. But that'll be it for me. I appreciate you guys for listening as always. Enjoy whatever game you want to watch this weekend, whether you watch the All-Star Game, the Pro Bowl, NBA, college hoops. Enjoy whatever it is because there's not much more of football for you football fans. There's not much more left of it. If you're a basketball fan, this is the most exciting time. This is the most exciting stretch, really. All-Star Game in a couple weeks for the NBA. If you're an NHL fan, this is another exciting time. Trade deadline's coming up here soon for them as well. And if you're a baseball fan, just really waiting for the season to be coming around the corner. College baseball starts in 2 weeks, and pitchers and catchers report in 2 weeks as well. So we're just right around the corner from baseball as well. But I appreciate you guys for listening as always. I'm Alex McNinch, and you just got your Sports Digest.